Good morning from Rostov-on-Don. This is Eileen, and welcome on my little digital experiment here and tour of what we've been up to this winter. As you know, our congregation is in transition from a building, this wonderful building where we've been meeting for 10 years, to another place that's yet to be determined exactly. And this is a wonderful experience for us because we're learning that the church is not the building, but it's the people. So, you know, we're Rostovskaya Церковь Христова, Rostov Church of Christ. And the last month we've been renting office space on Sundays for our meeting. And there are about 15, 17 of us present. And this is office space that's in a office building. Actually, it's a big apartment home building, and the office has some interesting things on the wall. You see the photograph, the painting of Lenin, pictures of Putin and Russian flags and stuff. Here are our brothers, council members on the left with me, and our brother Nikita, who's coming right along and doing such a great job. But I'm so thankful to our brothers for it's Artash, Misha, and Georgi for all their wonderful work. So here are the final two contenders for a meeting place. This building we looked at again this past week. It's on 29th line, and it's a property that includes a cafe in the front there on the right hand side. In the back is a 3-level home, and it has land, and it's just great, a good price. It's just fabulous. We fell in love with it earlier in the fall and got our hearts broken because the documents weren't all organized, but now they've all been worked out and we're really interested in it. So we're weighing on that. The only thing is it's in a neighborhood called Nakhichevan, which is a little bit away from the very, very center of town, whereas this property that we call Tekuchova is a fabulous location. And we also fell in love with this. It's a little more expensive, but it looks as though we'll have funds to cover it. It's a private home, and on the left is a daycare that's being remodeled. Lots of homes in the area, so many good things. But just before signing the contract, about 3 weeks ago, learned that there's a problem, a little problem. See that tiny little house that's adjoining there on the right-hand side? It's a little problem with that neighbor, and the problem is that he's off at sea. He's a sailor, and he won't be back in Rostov to sign documents about that until later in the fall. So it's a special challenge for us to deal with that. So this has been such a wonderful opportunity for us, learning and growing and praying for wisdom about where to be in the future. And we're thankful to have been in this property for 10 years. You see on the left the white entrance into the property itself, where we had been on Maxim and Gorkova Street, right next door to the public, big regional Rostov area public library, which is right in the center of town. And lots of people went past every day on the tram lines on Gorky Street and saw our building. So we had people come in just off the street to find out who we were, sometimes just to use the bathroom. And we're really thankful to have been there. So here's the entrance in summer months when it's not snowy. So we went through this gated area and then into the building itself. Have our own watchdog, Tarzan. No, Rex. Okay. So here's moving, packing up and getting ready to go. And that was quite the experience, you know, how it goes with getting boxes and all that and moving things. Our sister Sveta works with Eastern European Mission, and she and her husband and son were so busy, and they did a great job of getting all that library packed up. Here's Artash and getting the preacher's office packed up, and Artash and Georgi, our brother's council members, you see them talking there. They had many opportunities for practicing communication and working together and planning together, and it wasn't always easy, but we survived. Well, earlier this winter, children would come during vacation, and we made waffles a couple of times. And you know how they love to cook and bake and have fun in the kitchen and work. Getting help washing up is a little bit different story, but they also really do love playing Uno. So we've got them with our friend Yulia, who we hope will become a sister one day soon. Here's our sister Mariam, and oh, she is the great example. She's always the first to go visit people who are shut in, even though she's in her 80s, and has been in the hospital herself recently. But she really has always looked after this sister Yelena Lalayevna, who I like to go see a couple times a week. So recently, when I was visiting with Yelena Lalayevna, we decided to sing "We Shall Assemble on the Mountain," and maybe you would like to hear this.
Святому присутствии склонимся, и жертву принесем в сердца. Честь и хвала Тебе, Святому Агнцу Господа. Ой, аллилуйя, аллилуйя, искуплена моя душа.
So, as you know, there's no shortage of ways to serve in local congregation, and I always just ask for wisdom on how best to do that, because there are 1,000,001 good works that can be done in any local church. Well, here's my Russian visa. It expires in about a couple weeks, but I use 3-month visas now. And if you've ever had a visa to go somewhere, you know it's like the critical item. It's the Achilles tendon for expatriates or missionaries, anybody who lives and works in Russia or any place else where a visa is required. But to renew, a person has to step outside the country and go to a Russian consulate somewhere overseas or abroad. So I've been going to the I've been going to the Russian consulate in Kharkov. At least I went there in December, and I'm hoping to renew there in Kharkov, Ukraine again in March. We'll see. It's plan A. I could write a whole book about this topic, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. So I spend quite a bit of time on Russian-Ukrainian trains, and that's a great way to travel. This picture was taken at the border. I sneaked this picture at the Russian-Ukrainian border. The train stops 1 hour at the Russian border. The bathrooms are all locked and closed during that time, and then 30 minutes at the Ukrainian border. How about a little introduction to Kharkov, Ukraine? It's about 8, 9, 10-hour train trip from Rostov. It's significantly farther north. It's a big city, 2 million people, lots of universities and institutions of higher education, big history involved in the Nazi occupation during World War II, so lots of big statues all over the place and wonderful, very interesting museums. Kharkov has a wonderful public transportation system, a really good underground metro, and so, but what's best of all about Kharkov is a wonderful congregation there. There are actually a couple churches of Christ there, but this is Valera and his wife Yulia, and Valera is just a really fine guy, and he's a preacher and looking for support, by the way. Lucy and Dougal are part of a team of several young couples who moved from Lubbock, Texas about a year ago to start a new congregation in Kharkov. They're just fine young people. On the left is me with 2 of the sisters, and on the right is Katya, and she's a translator there in Kharkov. Some more friends here. Luda on the left, who lets me stay in her apartment some when I'm in Kharkov, and on the right is Andre, a new Christian, first Christian brother, new Christian brother in the new congregation. They had a creation evidences seminar while I was there, and even brought in a biology professor from Lubbock Christian University in Texas while I was there, and put so much effort into that outreach event. It was just really great to be there. So that's the end of part 1.